was in Houston, and I was teaching at a worship conference, and I woke up and not feeling well. I was in a hotel, and I called my wife, and I said, man, I felt like I was hit by a truck. I don't know what is wrong with me. And I said, yeah, I got a kink in my neck, and I just feel horrible. And so, but I got up, got dressed, talked for 4 hours, caught a plane, flew back to Columbus. And as I was walking through the airport, it hit me again. And I thought, man, I have slipped on my neck wrong or something. And this happened a few more times over the next days. On Monday, I finally said something's wrong with me. And so, you know, my wife does what most good wives do. They're Googling what's wrong with you and trying to, you know, figure out what it is, you know. I don't have a witness in the house. Are you crazy women like that? You know, I mean, like we don't need doctors. We just need the internet and we'll figure it all out. And so my wife is one of those crazy women, and so she's like, we're going to the doctor, she said. And so we go to the doctor, and well, Tuesday morning I wake up and I'm in such excruciating pain. And this was 10 years ago. And so she rushes me to the hospital, and he said, Mr. Condon, you are in the middle of a heart attack.
Oh boy.
And he said, in fact, we show that you've had heart damage. And so what they said is I was having crescendoing heart attacks. They were getting worse and worse and worse. He said, it's a miracle that you're even here. And that began a crazy journey. You know, I've never been sick a day in my life, never spent any time in the hospital. And so I was, you know, this was all kind of blowing me away. I didn't know if I was going to die like in 3 seconds, or, you know, if I had a few years. I didn't, you know, I thought I might spend the rest of my life. I was 47 at the time. And I thought, you know, am I over with? Am I all done? Is everything, you know, I just didn't know. My kids, a couple of them were in college, and some were in high school, and so Carol called them all in. They all came up there and stared at me. And, you know, and I'm scared because I'm thinking they're not ready for this. You know, they're not ready for me to just walk off, you know, into the earth here. And God began to deal with me. And God had been dealing with me, but I was just not listening really well, and kind of frankly afraid, and, you know, about starting a church from nothing. And so I thought, you know, I didn't know where my heart was and what was the will of God and what was just, you know, was this just a thought, you know, but God really got my attention over the next few months. And so we wound up planting Infinite Church in New Albany, Ohio. Well, actually started in Hannah, a neighboring community. 2 years ago, we bought a building. It's been the craziest 8.5 years of starting something from nothing. And I'll tell you a little bit about it, you know, and started from nothing, built a team. We watched God do some crazy, crazy things. Of course, we went through COVID like the rest of the world. That was wacky, crazy. And we got stuck outside because we were having church in a school. And so by this time we've got a couple hundred people that are attending and don't know where to go because we don't have a place. So we for 18 straight weeks in 2020, we had church. Everybody just bring their own lawn chairs, and we had church, a couple hundred of us, out in a parking lot. And you could sit as far as away that you wanted. You didn't have to sit next to anybody. You could sit, you know, as far as you wanted. And so, but then I kind of getting concerned because it was going to get cold out, and I thought, you know, we can't do this all winter. And so I just was praying, God, you know, what can we do? And someone pointed out a building, and it was $2.9 million. They had come down from $3.4 million. And so, God, we have $60,000. That's not going to buy squat in you know, in New Albany. So I prayed about it. And I went and someone said, well, if you can raise, you know, $600,000, you know, you can have a down payment. And I'm like, that seemed absolutely impossible. And so I went in my office and I was praying. I said, God, we need $600,000 and to buy this building. And I said, we have $60,000. And we need it like really fast, you know. And now patience is not one of my virtues. I'm not very good at that. I don't even pray for it because, you know, then when you pray for patience, it just gets worse, you know. So I'm smart enough that I don't pray for it, you know. I just, you know, pray to God, He'll just help me get better at it. And so I'm praying and saying, God, we need $600,000. And so I go to my office and I felt like God just really spoke to me crystal clear, not in an audible voice, but just really impressed upon me. He said, why don't you ask for $3 million? Because, you know, either one's going to take a miracle. So if you're going to ask for a miracle, why don't you ask for the one where you can pay cash for the building? And so I thought, well, that makes sense. So I walked out and told my wife, I said, hey, we're going to raise $3 million in 30 days. And, of course, she's a really good wife, and she didn't want to, discourage me or anything, because she knew that I just come out from praying. And so I'm telling her, she kind of smiling, yeah, sure, let's do that. And so I went on Facebook and said, hey, we're going to raise $3 million. Well, first of all, I called someone in our church, and I said, hey, I believe, it was a businessman. I said, I figured he would talk me off the ledge before I made a fool of myself. And, I said, hey, I believe that we're going to raise $3 million in 30 days. And he said, I think we can do that. And so here I was looking for sound advice. He said, in fact, we'll give $200,000. And I was like, I wanted to put a little padded helmet on and just run around my office. I was so stinking pumped. And so I called another family in our church and said, I really believe that God wants us to raise $3 million in 30 days. And they said, yeah, we believe that too. We'll give $100,000. So in a matter of a couple hours, we've raised $300,000 in a matter of 2 phone calls and about 2 hours worth of conversations. And so now I'm feeling pretty bold, yeah, we can do this, And so I go on Facebook and said, hey, we're going to raise $3 million in 30 days. And so June 1st is when we started. We failed. We did not do that, just so you know. We only raised $648,000 in 30 days. And so I thought, well, at least I've got my $600,000, so we now have a down payment. So we worked all summer, and some more money came in through the summer. And then we were 8 days from closing. We had all of the money, of course, the banks, they want you to have a certain amount of money set back, so if you have, any kind of accidents or whatever, you're prepared, and they don't want you to be broke as can be when you go to buy the building. So we got everything in the accounts, we're all ready, we're pumped, we're about to get our own very first building. And in New Albany, 175 East Main Street, in the heart of New Albany, right down, smack down in the middle of the community. So 8 days from closing, a pastor from Columbus said, hey, we've been watching you, and he said, COVID kind of has done us in, and we would wonder if you would be interested in us merging with you. Now this is about 30 people, and they were an old established church downtown Columbus, but they'd gone through some problems 13 years ago, and the pastor left, and there were some issues, and so they had a building, and they had some land, they sold all that, and they were just kind of hunkering down, those 30 people, surviving. And said, we would like to join your church if you're cool with that. And I said, well, let's get together. We talked, and so then they decided they were going to have a board meeting. They came and spent about 6 or 7 churches or services with us out on the parking lot. They brought their own lawn chairs, and we all had church together out on the parking lot in the rain, in the sun. Let me tell you, when it's 90 degrees and you're on a black top, you will pray to God you don't go to hell. So we were out in the parking lot, and they were, just enjoying the services, and we were enjoying the services, and so they're going to have a board meeting with their church, and they're going to decide if they're going to merge with us or not. So Carol and I are out of town, and they call us, and they said, hey, we just voted. This was on Sunday afternoon. They said, we just voted, and we're so excited. We can hear them on the other end of the speakerphone. And said, we just voted. We're unanimous that we all want to join Infinite Church. And so we were pumped. And he said, oh, one more thing. He said, we also just voted unanimously that we're sending a check over to you for $1,470,000. So we could all pay cash for this building. So between what we had raised, we bought the building for $2.1 million. We paid cash for the building. We've never had debt in 8.5 years. And when they appraised the church, they appraised it for $3,020,000. We got the building, we got the chairs, we got the refrigerators, we've got the sound system, we got everything. It was an event center they used for weddings and things. I mean, it's unbelievably gorgeous. If you're ever in Columbus on a weekend and you just want to come someplace really cool, we had 361 people on Sunday. It's been a crazy, crazy So, back in August, we decided to do a reunion choir project with all the people around the country that I've done, worked with their choirs, and all these people came in from many different denominations and that have sung our music through the years, and a bunch of them came in, and we did a reunion choir at the McCoy Center, which is a big theater right there in New Albany, and we did this huge concert. And out of that, We created this project. We actually have DVDs coming. These came in yesterday, so if you touch them and they're a little hot, you'll know why. They are right off the press. And so I want everyone to have one of these. They're $10. I do not get a dime of this. Every bit of this goes towards helping us help other churches plant churches. And that's been a big passion for me because that's obviously what we did. And I love to see new people plant churches and get new churches going. So if you are interested, you can pick these up. I want to do them for $10 a piece because I want you to get a bunch of them and hand them out to friends and all that. A lot of the songs I'm singing tonight are on this. And then also, you can go to YouTube, and we kind of are under Mark Condon, and we're kind of releasing these songs slowly, and you can watch that night, and they're on there, so the choir and everything. So I hope you'll pick some up, help us to help people. I'm going to do another song real quick. This song I wrote when I was mad. Just being honest, you'll never guess that I was mad when I wrote it. But here's what I've learned. That, if you will speak and sing the opposite of the way you feel, you're going to watch God change the circumstance of where you're in. So many times we begin to complain and gripe, and so I was upset. I worked at a church, and I had a bunch of musicians, and they all kind of quit on one weekend, and they were all just being stinkers. And if you've ever been a worship pastor or music director of a church, you realize the music is the easy part. People are the hard part. People are just weird. I'm telling you. They're maybe not up here in the northeast part of Ohio, but back in Columbus, people are weird. And the more gifted they are, the crazier they are. We had a lot of very gifted musicians, and they were driving me out of my ever-living mind. And so one morning, on a Monday morning, after I dealt with all this on Sunday, I was just giving God a piece of my mind, just complaining. And so I went to the piano, as I do so many days, and I just began, and I thought, I want to sing something opposite of the way I feel. And out of that came the song. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this song. I don't know if you've sang this song, but I'm going to sing it for you, and you'll probably want to stand here in a minute. You don't have to start standing, but if you feel like you need to stand, you can. But out of that song, or out of that little experience, came this song. You can clap if you like. But I'm going to be more practice. Now I'm a little tired of every games, keeping me in bondage through my sorrows and my pain. I deserve better. I won't go another day. I'm here to claim deliverance in Jesus' name. I feel the joy of the Lord falling fresh on me. I feel the joy of the Lord is delivering me. I feel the joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over me. Yes, it is. I feel the joy of the Lord falling fresh on me. I feel the joy of the Lord and it's delivering me. I feel the joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over me. Now I have royal blood flowing through my veins. I'm a child of the King. I've been buried in His name. There is no devil that can come against me. I've been blessed. I've been born. I have been set free. I feel the joy of the Lord falling fresh on me. I feel the joy of the Lord and it's delivering me. I feel the joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over me. I feel the joy, yeah. I feel the joy of the Lord falling fresh on me. I feel the joy of the Lord and it's delivering me. I feel the joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over me. Hey, yeah. I have been loose. I've been set free. So pardon me, I'm going to have a jubilee. The joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over me. I have been loose. Hey, I have been loose. I've been set free. So pardon me, the moment I have a jubilee. The joy of the Holy Ghost. It's all over